Welcome to the business panel here at Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival. Thank you for coming. We got 4 amazing business owners to my left. For those of you on stream, and for those of you here, this is Dan, the owner of West3D, based out of Oregon. Yep. Awesome. This is Grant, owner and operator of 3D Musketeers out of the great state of Florida. This is Kris, KB3D Kris, out of Ohio. Wisconsin. And of course I forget the guy that's making his own factory, basically. Luke from Luke's Lab out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So ask him good questions, have some fun, and here's your panel.
What's up?
How y'all doing?
So I was told this is a panel discussion. That means we don't have anything prepared. So we're hoping that you guys have some questions, and we will be happy to answer them.
I thought you were going to be the moderator.
Me?
Yeah.
No one told me that.
Seemed like a good moderator.
But I'm a business owner too. I've been doing this for over a decade.
You both.
You have big moderator energy.
I don't need the microphone. I'm half Cuban.
We have one question over here.
What do we got?
For someone, my name is Joe. I go by UTBB. For someone who's just wanting or just getting started in trying to go full time with this 3D printing career, what would you recommend to do or to not do to set myself apart and kind of build an audience, a community, potential buyers or whatever.
Yeah.
What's your advice, I guess?
Just a one follow-up question. What are you trying to do? Are you selling 3D printed parts, or what's your goal?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Okay, so you want to make 3D printing a business. You don't know where to start. Yeah. Okay.
Service bureau. Right? So you want to make parts for other people, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to be what's called a service bureau. So that would be the first thing to really look at. Do you guys do service work? Am I the only service bureau up here?
We do print work.
Okay, you do some print work too.
And we only print parts for 3D printers.
Sometimes we do that too. If the money is there, we don't care.
That's business 101.
Amen to that. Sometimes don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. But realistically, find a community that you know well, right? If you're not a car guy, don't try to sell parts to car guys. It's not gonna work. If you're already ingrained in a community, find a way that you can integrate the work that you already do as a hobby and then work with them. You'll gain that social validation, that social proof that's important to not have you look like a used car salesman. From there, you can scale up and look at other communities. But do what you know best. If you're already part of a community, why go away from that community? Mind you, that community might have other people that do 3D printing. For the love of all things that are holy, don't compete on price. Value your time. If you're wondering if you're charging enough, the answer is no, double your price. If you double your price and you lose half of your customers, you're still winning because you're spending less time and you're making the same amount of money. And that means you have more net profit. So the people that are on Etsy that are selling parts at pennies on the dollar, God bless them, because I don't know how the heck they do it. They're working their keisters off. And sure, they're making a lot of money, but their net profit isn't high. And if you wanted to do this as a full-time job, the thing that matters is when all the bills are paid, how much is left for you? If there's none, raise your prices.
Good.
I got one. I imagine a lot of people claim they're going to get into the 3D printing business as an excuse to get more printers.
That is a good reason.
So, the question's obvious. Suppose you want to do this smart, and you only want to buy new equipment as you need it. How do you know when it's time to scale up, and how do you know when it's time to print more efficiently? Do you wait for the demand, or do you scale up first?
I feel like that one's tough because
We gotta repeat the question.
yes, repeating the question. Knowing when it's time to scale in the way of either I think that can be extended to personnel. when it comes to that point. So machines, resources, when it's time. So, I mean, generally speaking, it's best to stay ahead a bit. I like to use the analogy of one shoe size bigger than you need right now. So when it comes to new machines, that could mean an additional machine, sure. Maybe not 5 today. 6, yeah, it depends.
N+1. N+1. Always N+1.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, one shoe size, one
That one is not having fun.
testing, one shoe size bigger could be 10 more machines, right? Depends on where you're at. So I think those decisions are tough to make, but generally speaking, I mean, this space moves fast, right? Even if you're in the niche of just 3D printing parts as a service bureau, the materials change, the technology changes. So over investing in machines can, maybe you miss the next technology that you could have invested in, or so keep that in mind. Keep in mind the pace that, think about where we are now versus 2012 when things kind of started opening up for us, and as far as patents expiring and things. So that's what I add.
I would just add, there's one thing in business that I see a lot of people are trying to get in 3D printing forget or ignore. A lot of times you have a sufficient amount of 3D printers, you ignore the downtime that those 3D printers have. There's something called opportunity cost. The one caveat I'll say to what Mr. 3D Musketeers here said earlier about your pricing is, if you can forecast product that will sell and it's a lower margin product, when your machines are down, you should be printing that product. Because every hour your machine is not printing is an hour that you have wasted and you have excess capacity that you've not filled.
So if I can be a jerk and ask a second question in a row.
Please.
So I have actually sold 3D printed products before, and that actually raises an interesting issue, because basically the more colors you offer, right, the more people love having options, right? But the more colors you offer, the less inventory of each one you can keep on hand. Yes. So like actually using that downtime, printing orders before you get them, is not really compatible with having a wide variety of colors and materials options. How do you navigate that? Do you decide what to inventory and what to print just in time?
Yeah, and it may be, and I agree, and those little multicolored things that have 4 or 8 colors are the ones that sell the most. But your lower margin items are maybe those like gradient silks or something like that. So there usually is something that you can find to do. We print parts for 3D printers, parts for like Voron sets, things like that. When we have downtime on our printers, we'll usually print the primary black color parts, and we will leave the accent color pieces for the order when it actually comes in. It just reduces that time. So when we do have a crunch time where it's like, man, we just got 10 orders in a row and it would usually take us a lot longer to fill, we can still fulfill the order at the time frame the customer wants.
When we do parts where we know there's going to be more pieces with different color options, we will look at historically what sells. And that's how we really define what the inventory number should be. You don't want too much inventory because it takes up too much space. That could be filled with more printers, filament, whatever it is, raw material that gives you opportunity to make new pieces. And if there are some wacky colors, you don't have to stock them. You just put them on a slightly longer delay and you make them as they come in. Obviously, as you grow, you need to hold more inventory, but that is making sure that you have the right processes, protocols, and procedures in place when you start, and not have to scramble like, I don't know what colors people order, so I don't know what we should be printing, right? Like 3D Musketeers, we do high value, low volume. So we have a lot of empty machine time, and that's fine. But when a customer needs something done in 6 hours and they're willing to pay, I'll turn on other machines. It's no big deal. We don't do a lot of like ready to go parts, but as we do it for certain customers, when they have multiple colors, we just look to see what is ordering. So stock as you need it. If something takes off, add more of it.
And I think there's something to be said there too about investing in efficiency before investing in more machines, especially when you talk about the configurability portion of things. Offering colors, 3D printing in general. The strength of it is on-demand printing, so leveraging that makes a whole lot of sense when it comes to customizations. But you also have instances where, say, like Dan, he's printing parts for Vorons, Voron's a super stable project, right? And you know when the next revision's coming. But if you're solely focused on keeping machines busy and building an inventory, and all of a sudden the next toolhead comes out, well, being left with inventory is a real thing, and that's a learned thing, is knowing how much do I bring in, how much do I stock, and how bad have I been bitten before by my practices. So, yeah.
It's happened to all of us.
I'm probably closer to Grant in terms of the volume that we print. We print mostly just bespoke objects. We don't really stock printed parts. And so it is okay to have downtime. A lot of the times our downtime is used to upgrade our farm or provide, that next retrofit or maybe add in a prototype part, because we manufacture upgrades. So downtime is like, oh, I finally get to try the part that I've been waiting to install for the past week or the past month. That'll be in the next, product that we make out of metal, not printed parts, unfortunately. But
You mean like the +4 Pika edition?
exactly. So we might
Coming
have
soon.
Yeah, we
Also,
use,
go check out Luke's lab. He's currently running a Kickstarter for the Pika hot end. He won't shill for him, but I'll do it. It's got 2 weeks left. I'm a backer too. It's great. Seriously, it's like the one Kickstarter as a content creator I feel totally comfortable pimping. So
he did
yeah.
promise to break my knees with a baseball bat if I don't. So it is what it is.
he agreed to it. I have that on recording.
Please do. Anyways, so like do I get more machines? It might be a question of, do I go back to the machines I do have and perform that preventative maintenance to make sure that when you have a on-demand customer that I need it today, I need it tomorrow, you don't have downtime. But, that's just some basic, asset management that's really important, because if you don't do it right, it will bite you and you will have a bad time.
Not that any of us would have any experience with that.
Hudson, you had your arm up first.
Hold on. For the stream.
Oh, perfect. Then we don't have to repeat the questions. This is wonderful.
Someone's got good ideas.
Thank
It's
you.
not the four of us thinking with the.
So is that mic not working?
Yeah,
No.
Testing.
I got more hands. Otherwise, I'm just gonna gesture.
I mean, if you hold this, I can just talk loud enough. into
What's
it,
up?
they can hear me.
So when I look on the stage, the thing I see that you guys all share is a really strong community presence. What advice do you have for fostering your community or starting a community?
I thought you were going to say the beards, but whatever.
Could be something to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start. I'm sure we all have our own sort of opinions or suggestions on this. Grant somewhat touched on the first question. You need to get involved and do something that you love. I think if you just say, I've got a little bit of money, I'm going to buy 3D printers and hope business comes my way, you will not be successful. 3D printing has a very low cost of entry. That's the thing that's running against you. So you have to do something where you are already involved in a community, or you are passionate enough to get involved with a community. What I've noticed for 3D printing, and we don't work with 3D Musketeers much because they are a different type of business, but both Luke's Lab and KB3D, we order from each other. We give each other advice. We help each other out. I mean, we have discount codes to each other for when we mess up orders that we can fulfill through each other's stores. That's something that because we are first hobbyists, we first grew up in the community, that following, when they see your passion, they see that you're there as a member of the community trying to help out other members of your community, that they coalesce around. So our community is fairly large, but it's grown organically from that passion. I go in these maker events and I'm walking around booths and I am just drooling. I'm like, dude, this is super cool. You strike up those relationships and those people follow you. That's what I would say. There are other people. I'm sure you guys have other opinions.
Yeah, just a little bit on what you choose to do, I guess. Speaking of Dan's suggestion on passion, kind of starting with passion, I think our space, like the vendors that you see out there, the majority of us, this kind of show is unique because we all started as aspiring, business owners in the space, and so that passion sticks around, and it's probably it's fitting of a RepRap Fest, but some folks call it like a trade show kind of atmosphere, but it's different because we're just as passionate about all this as you are. And that's the kind of thing when you're deciding what to start with, where you want to focus on first, something you know well, that's going to help you get through the hard times too. Because it's fun, it's great, it's full of challenges. Some things work, some things don't. And so when things don't go your way and you're not passionate about what you're doing, I feel like that's when there's a recipe where it stops. Where you don't learn from it and continue, you decide to stop.
You burn out.
So set yourself up for success in doing something that you love or can at the very least want to learn.
Think about where you would like to spend 80 hours a week. It's going to be a lot of work.
80? You only work 80?
Oh man, I'm a slacker.
Slacker.
But I mean, think about that. So it's not necessarily that you're always
Mr. Successful
your
over
job. Your job may or may not be a ton of hours. I will say, typically, starting a business is going to take a lot of effort. But if you're going to live in that community, you have to understand that every hour that you're in that business, you're also in that community. And so if you need to find a place that you're willing to hang out with people, if you're on Discord or Facebook or whatever, you're willing to be with those people and want to be with those people for 60 to 80 hours a week. And that's how you don't burn out.
I guess for me, our story is incredibly unique because for the first 5 years of my company, you all had no idea who I was. We didn't have a YouTube channel. We were quiet because that's what we wanted. We had our clients, we were making money, we were happy. We were actually focusing on doing full color 3D scanning and 3D printing of people. So I own, in my peak, 5 $70,000 full color 3D printers. I still have one, it's for sale.
$10. $25.
If you ship it, it's expensive. It weighs 1,000 pounds.
Okay, so average printer.
Palletize it.
Okay, for you. Okay, yeah. I'm like, okay, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But YouTube for us has been a lot of fun. But on the business side, we made a decision that very few creators make. We pay gated our Discord because I am in there all the time. We give business advice. We have just hangouts with other business owners that are in there, and we just chat business. And that's part of what we do. And if I'm going to spend that much time, it's $10 a month. Like if you're going to start a business, you're not going to get free business advice. You might get lucky and you might find someone who's willing to be like a mentor to you or something like that. But it is difficult in this industry. What I would say is if you're trying to build a community, just start. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time to start is today, right? If you keep waiting, building that community becomes more complicated because now more people enter, you have more potential of competition. And in reality, while even the businesses up here technically compete with each other, the content creators, we compete with each other. I compete with the businesses and the content creators. We're all still friends, right? If you're trying to start a business in this industry and you want assistance, you can literally reach out to us. I have a public email to youtube@3dmusketeers.com. Email me. I reply. Be quiet. He said, nice plug. I don't charge for emails. Okay? The advice is free. I never said it was any good sometimes. I think a lot of us can sit here and say we've made a lot more mistakes than we've made things right. And part of it comes down to learning from those mistakes. If you keep making the mistakes, you didn't learn anything. You need to make sure that you learn from those mistakes. Otherwise, you'll be forced to repeat them constantly.
So my question my follow-up question to the first question was, what kind of 3D printing business are you looking to start? The reason I asked that, and because we've got people that do actual 3D printing, we have people that do retail, we have people that do manufacturing, we have people that do a combination of both. Those are always questions. And one of the most common things I see like on Facebook groups and things like that is they're basically their question is, how do I make money with my 3D printer? That is a wrong way to look at it. If you want to start a store like West3D or KB3D or Luke's Lab, we will help you. We will provide advice. The market is big enough. You can get in it. You have to like the operations of selling and packing boxes and researching product and sourcing. You have to like that part of the business to be successful. If you want to start a 3D printing store because you like 3D printing, you will not have a good time because you will lose all that time that you would have had to 3D print. I 3D print 10% of what I used to 3D print. I like the business
Same.
side of it. If you like 3D printing, you should find a product or find a business that you can start where you're actually making the gadgets. If you like the machines of 3D printing, you like building printers, things like that, you should find a way to get into a part where you're doing modifications or something on the manufacturer side. That is, I think that's advice that I don't usually see shared. It's usually people ask that and then they rag on them. But if you can find something that you like, find that as your niche and stick with it. And again, be in your community. And I think you have a good chance of success. This is a very quickly growing industry. We are seeing a lot more people to our websites. We're seeing a lot more sales. We're seeing a lot more people buy 3D printers, buy filament. That means that this industry is growing and there's a lot more room for you to either learn, create great products, work with people that are creating great products, print those products, build printers that people will buy, invent a hot end that can get a following and be on Kickstarter for the next, I don't know how long, but you can do that. And this is now the golden age. I would say this is still a good time to start the business. Second best time, like Grant said. You are in an age where we are seeing the proliferation of 3D printing like we've never seen. It's unreal.
I would say, like, before the advice was given of find a community that you care about. The thing that I would say for a business is asking yourself, how can I serve that community with my unique talents and interests and what I can do? So I might not be the most amazing retail giant like these gentlemen beside me, but I can create cool stuff and solve a problem that then they can provide a far better distribution network for. And that's something that I think would be a really good path, is how can I serve that community and make their lives better and make myself happy doing so.
Yes.
Kind of building on that and my original question, I've kind of thought that the part that is most interesting to me is solving a problem through creative engineering and using 3D printing and other manufacturing methods to make that happen. I'm not so interested in the running the business side, or really even promoting myself on social medias and stuff like that. So I'm just curious, kind of, what advice would you give to get in? It sounds like, from what I'm seeing, the service bureau type work is sort of more in line with that, where somebody comes and says, hey, I need XYZ and I need 50 of them or whatever. Am I understanding that correctly? And how would you recommend going about starting into something like that?
That's a great question. I actually think Grant might be the best person to answer part of this. The only thing from my side of view, we have a retail store where people actually walk in and talk to, and people do ask us, they say, I have this thing, I have this problem, I would like someone to solve it. We don't do that work. I would say a lot of print farms don't do that, or service bureaus do not do that work. What I would do, if you're not into the business side and you want to deal with the design and creation, is think about partnering with some of those people. So when they come in, they can say, we'll take that work. I'll work with my design guy, my engineering person, and we'll work on solving that problem. Businesses will partner with you and work with you. And in 3D printing, a lot of the print farms that I know of are really just, they want an STL file, they want it ready, and then they'll press print. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's what they want. So if you have a niche and you're saying, hey, I can solve problems, show them a problem that you've solved. Give them a free, if you could find a customer, I'll do this work for free so you can see what it looks like, and make them want to reach out to you and do that business. So you don't have to focus on any of the business side of it. You don't have to market yourself or anything like that.
I'm going to build on that a little bit.
Please.
Then we'll get to you.
You know way more than I do about
Yeah,
this.
we actually started as a pure print farm. We don't do any design work, yada, yada. We have 14 people on our team. I am the person that runs the machines. Everybody else are engineers, editors, copywriters. Shout out to Mad Cat, who's one of the mods in the live stream right now. He's one of our copywriters. But we have expanded our business based on our needs, right? My background is in business, actually in fundraising. So hello, my name is Grant. I used to do grant writing. It was a great icebreaker, I'll tell you. But we realized very quickly that click, print, go didn't work. I started 3D Musketeers in 2015. I started 3D printing in 2008. So I've watched this industry grow, and we realized we need engineers. I will say the hardest thing in any business is being able to talk about yourself in a way that doesn't feel like you're being sleazy about it. Because a lot of us have been taught our entire lives, do not gloat. Do not, if you're doing something nice and cool and interesting, somebody else will do it for you. And the reality of that is, it doesn't work. You have to talk about what you're doing. And as a service bureau, 90% of the work that we do is either not cool or it's under NDA, so we can't talk about it. So you have to find ways to, produce it. I would say from what you've said so far, and a lot of you know, I tell it how it is. Sounds like you might, at least for right now, be better fit working with a service bureau that does design, or a company that needs an engineer that wants to solve those problems. And if you are upfront with them and say, hey, I'm thinking about potentially doing this too. If they're a small enough business, maybe they'll take you under their wing and teach you a thing or two about what to do right, and more importantly, what not to do so you don't do the wrong thing. Don't be afraid to go up to people and ask questions. A lot of us love to answer questions, especially when it's like the nitty-gritty stuff about our businesses. Don't ask us how much money we make. You ain't get to know that. We ain't publicly traded. But ask questions, because we all were in the position of a lot of you that are sitting in this room right now and watching live at one point in our lives. We're here to help. That's what we do.
I made $12,000 last year.
You took a salary?
What? You're getting paid?
Yeah.
But that's another point too. So we're 3.5 years in. KB3D, or maybe like 6 months or so further than that, 4 years, 5.
2020, yeah.
Yeah. So we're multiple years in, and the money that we're earning is going right back into the business too. So you have to build something. We are making profit in the sense that our shelves are growing, we're getting more profit, but that is not cash in pocket. And if you're trying to run a business and earn enough money to pay for yourself, that is a challenge unless you're doing something with a low entry to capital. I do think if you want a service bureau, if you have 5 3D printers, 10 3D printers, and you want to be able to print parts, that is something that you can do. Start as a side gig. Yeah. Do that. This business was a side gig for me.
Yeah, you do it in the 5 to 9 while you work the 9 to 5. Yep.
And you just grow it. I had 4 employees before I dropped my main job to make this my full-time job.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask all of us up here, is because one of the things he mentioned in that first question is, I want to go full-time, right? Like maybe I'm already doing some things, but I want to go full-time. And taking that leap is different for everybody. It depends on your situation, but it's a tough one. And it depends on how risk-averse you are and how confident you are. But I think I could say with some confidence that probably all of us up here, maybe not Grant, but we balanced that. We had to make that decision ourselves too at some point. And when did we decide to leave the traditional workforce, or at least start kind of pivoting away? And I think in order to get to the point where you're comfortable going full time, regardless of being involved in a fast-paced atmosphere like we are, is something along the lines of what Dan said earlier. If you own a 3D printer and you say, how can I make money with it? That's the wrong question. But if you own a 3D printer and you say, well, how can I add value? That's the magic. You add value. And it could be to people, it could be to businesses, it could be to charities. How do you add value?
I was full-time well before I was full-time.
Yes. Amen.
That's half the secret.
Yeah. Yeah. For those that don't know, literally my YouTube channel started because I took a day job and it literally broke my back. So I couldn't really walk for 2.5 years. If you look at the old videos when I had long hair, you never see me walking in videos. Why? Because I used a cane and I couldn't walk well. I had to relearn all of that. I still don't feel very much in my legs anymore. And YouTube was a way for me to take, in the middle of the human malware as it was, to be able to take what I've learned and share it with the world. Never thought it was going to turn into this. So people are like, oh, I'm such a big fan. I'm like, I am not deserving of this. I'm a regular person. I'm just a business owner. And I suck at marketing. Absolutely
Shut up.
suck at it. If I was good at marketing, I would be Zach Friedman, right? And I'd have a massive channel and make great videos and know what I was doing. But I will say the YouTube was a great way and is a great way for that immediate social validation. They're like, well, how do we know that you know what you're doing? I have a YouTube channel with over 50,000 subscribers. If that isn't evidence enough, then you're probably not a good customer for me. And so I don't have to prove myself anymore. The biggest challenge when you're starting out is proving that value to others. Don't undercut yourself. Cut deals when you can, but don't undercut yourself, and treat everybody with respect until the immediate point where they don't deserve it anymore. Be firm. If you got to end it right. Don't be a jerk about it, Question there?
So in terms of how much time you spend like doing your daily business stuff, what amount of percent do you do in which areas? Like how much is social media? How much is the daily stuff, everything? How much is just planning for everything else in the future, I guess? Where does your time go most of the time?
You guys plan?
I just follow what Dan
Sometimes.
does.
Oh God.
I just go on his website and copy that.
All right, let's just do corporate espionage. Let's see what everybody else is doing. Okay, we should probably be doing
But
that.
I mean, we also collaborate on projects. We have one project that we were just talking about a few weeks ago that someone in the community, was doing, and he's like, I want to do it too. We go in on stuff. I mean, it's a rising tide floats all boats thing. I think Grant's answer is probably going to be different than a lot of ours. We don't do social media. I mean, we do. Sorry, I take that back.
Well, your social media manager
We don't
is
invest.
mad.
We do. Alan, we do social media. We do it really hard.
Top social media.
But our focus is really, Hudson mentioned the community piece. That has been the focus of our business. So our social media is more related to things that we think people want to know. So if you look at our channel, it's Meet the Maker. We'll have people on like Grant, and we just ask the similar types of questions, like how'd you get involved in it? Outside of these shows, and in fact, when I first came to the show, the Room was the first show I ever went to. I was terrified when I saw Stefan from CNC Kitchen and things like that. I would have not
Or
asked
Scotty
the question.
from Strange Parts, who's literally right outside. Come on in.
Hey.
Everyone say hi to Scotty because he was right there and I get to do that.
I'm supposed to speak after this, and I don't know where to go.
Oh.
I must be in the right place.
You're in the right place.
So yeah, I mean, there's a part of that, and it's like, well, how do we bring that to the community? So now they can ask the questions behind a computer screen. You're a lot more comfortable doing that. But we do not do paid advertising or anything like that. We do occasionally work with social media influencers, but it's not like we're not paying Joel Telling to do, ad spots for us. But because we're involved in the community, Joel Telling will come to us and be like, hey, we see that you have this on our store. Can we plug your store? And we will do it. Yeah, we do it. I think you've done it for us once or twice before too. On one of the streams, our PF tension meter was like the tool of the year. Yeah. I mean, those types of things, that's a community project. That's not a West3D project. That's a person that lives 20 minutes from our location that made a really nice tool, and we helped them get to market. So yeah, but planning, I don't know. The other part was planning. Honestly, it gets harder. The bigger you get and the more products and stuff you add, the less time you have to actually plan for things. So we literally are saying, that is cool. I want that. And we go, basically.
And planning is never what you think it's going to be. Planning is, this is what I want. And then reality is very different because often curveballs happen. And part of business is not only knowing how to roll with the punches, but be able to take a punch. Because if you can throw a punch all day, great. But if you got a glass jaw and one little hit, you're down for the count. It doesn't matter anymore, right? So you have to be ready, willing, and able to be fluid, fill the gaps, and be able to move with the industry, right? Everyone pre-Bamboo was moving huge into open source because the community was open source. Now all of a sudden Bamboo came out, and now open source isn't that big of a deal anymore. And I understand for the Voron guys, it is life, right? But the vast majority of people that are entering this industry might not even know the difference between open source and closed source. And so businesses have to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Because without that, you have a hobby, not a business.
one of the he mentions open source and closed source. What I like to tell people, because we get asked a lot of times, KB3D, it's in our mission statement to add value to open source. It's kind of what we were born to do. But at the end of the day, you know, as things change, and it is changing, as long as you're adding value, the maker will always be there. You know, everybody in this room and in the entire show, we're all makers to some degree, right? And they will always exist. So as long as you're adding value to the maker, then you'll survive another year.
I once made a plan. It did not go to plan.
Yeah, we call them business plans. We make them because we think they're going to be useful, and unfortunately, we forget to update them, and they end up in a filing cabinet somewhere.
Yeah,
What's the business plan? You know the question marks in like the, you know, have idea, question mark, profit? Yeah, that businesses are those question marks. And yeah, planning is great.
Yes.
But
Important.
it is important. But execution is really what matters. If you're not able to get something from idea to market, whatever that market might be, planning doesn't mean jack diddly. You need to be able to execute. We work with inventors all the time. Great idea people, often very bad at execution. So our job is not so much a rapid prototyping facility, it's more of a business consulting facility where we help them get to their next step. The best planning that you could do, especially when it comes to marketing, is understanding your target. Knowing who you want to sell to, but be willing to understand that because you want to sell to this market doesn't mean you're gonna, and be willing to move. Remaining fluid is how you stay alive, right? It's the only way. I never thought we'd be doing what we're doing, but we are. So let's do it.
Well said.
Red shirt.
Red shirt. Do
It's
you
a
know who
plug.
that is? Do you know who that is?
There's a lot of people.
Do you know who that is? That is Gabe. That is Gabe of Lucky 13 Toys, Mr. Dummy 13 himself. Yeah, I'm doing it.
You can go blow me up a little bit. Okay, so you talked about like planning and budgeting time, but you know, say I decided tomorrow I want to start a 3D printing service. I'm probably thinking, okay, I got to buy printers, I got to buy filament, I need space, and I need to pay anyone who works for me. What are some of the biggest expenses you guys have now that you didn't know were even a thing when you got started?
Insurance.
You can get insurance?
Try having machines that cut metal.
Yeah, machines that will only kill you will hurt the entire time you're dying.
So I will say, when we were a store in my garage, that was probably the time I was the most profitable. The overhead, you
Easily.
grow and your overhead grows with you. And there's always this part where you initially expand and your overhead is like outpacing your actual income. And you have to grow out of that. And then as soon as you grow out of that, it seems like you need more, and it never stops. So like now it gets to the point where, you know, we have to sell a lot to stay alive. Where you're in your garage, I could go a month, and if I sold $1,000, it doesn't really matter. I'm still at my house. You know, it's a thing.
You'll know. You'll know when the time is right, when you need to add people, you need to add space, whatever it is, because you'll be running so ragged, you're not going to have a choice. It will be, I need this, and if I don't have it, I'm going to fail. Now, smarter business would say, keep an eye on that and recognize what those symptoms look like so you can catch it early on, right? That way you're not scrambling at the last minute to try to stay alive in a complicated scenario. It is better to look at forecasting and be able to bet off of that effectively than it is to just throw money into the wind and hope it comes back and hits you in the face. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say business is a lot about risks as well, and those costs are major risks. Whether it's you're investing in a new product, one of our first products was Undertaker tungsten carbide nozzle, fantastic, by the way. That's my plug.
West3D.com.
But I literally took every single dollar I had earned and went into debt bringing those in. My first batch I threw away. the Death Racer that had all the Undertaker nozzles on last year, those were nozzles from my first batch that I threw away. I have
That's a great.
I have like 6 pounds of tungsten carbide nozzles. That probably would have been $15,000 worth of nozzles that are still sitting in my warehouse.
So
it was
there's
a
like
risk.
8 of them?
It was a
Carbide's
risk.
Very heavy.
It was a risk. I took it. It didn't work out. You keep moving ahead. There are going to be those things that punch you, and it's how you get up. We sent out some of those because I thought they were good. The test ones were good. We refunded everybody. We gave them a free thing for the next one. That's proactive, not them reaching out to us. It's being there, understanding that you're a member of the community, and what would you have felt like if you had got this. Give them the 2010 Amazon experience.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. Yeah.
It's been a decade already, huh?
Bobby from San Diego. I'm in the automotive space. How much should you guys worry about initial quality, and how did you gain your feedback, like your experience and data collection over time?
I talk a lot all the time. I don't want.
I got it.
Luke, this one. This is you. This is you, homie.
So a year ago, we brought out the tube hot end. So high performance, high flow. You can find it at lukeslabonline.com. Also at West3D, and potentially soon to be. We'll open it up.
KB3D.com.
Yeah. Anyways, when
Sorry.
oh, very important hyphen. I'm sorry.
You'll understand if you forget it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's too many friends on the couch talking here. So we launched a brand new high performance, high flow hot end with a lot of grandiose claims, and it was grandiose in the fact that every other product on the market claimed the same things, but as a small business, we really meant it. But what we did and why we took so long to launch, because we thought we were going to be done a lot earlier than we were, and that's one of the first business mistakes we got to make. Yay! Was that we had some things to learn in manufacturing. And what we did to make sure that we did that, and as a manufacturer, less of a retailer than KB3D and West3D are, is we had a core group, part of that community that we had built before, that was really interested in one, the product that we were making, and then two, was interested in making it better, because the better it is for them, the better it is for everyone involved, us as the manufacturer and them as the user. So we came down to a bit of spontaneous planning in terms of like, hey, that's a really good idea. We should make sure to ask about that and record that. And also letting our users tell us what they hated, and letting our users be like, yo, this is dumb. Don't do this. And really focusing on that. A lot of the product that we have is me applying myself and solving problems that I had. Because I thought I really wanted to be a massive 3D printer manufacturer, and I kept breaking hot ends. So like, there has to be a better solution. And so I started solving a better problem I had. And sure, I can think that everything I make is perfect, blessed, everything's great. But it really comes down to making sure you get normal users who may not know anything about it, get it in their hands and see what the heck they find out about that. So.
And specifically in the automotive space, quality matters a lot. Like if you're doing exterior pieces for cars, interior pieces for cars, we do this a lot. We do a lot of high-end 3D scanning. I got way too much money in 3D scanners, over $250,000 in scanners. But we do a lot of RE work, reverse engineering, in the automotive space, and they want quality, or they don't want to pay a lot of money for it. So if it's additions, modifications, whatever it is, it needs to look OEM spec. So often when we do automotive parts, we go to SLS, MJF, LPBF. We might even do it at metal if it makes sense. It is giving the customer the experience that they are expecting, that we know they want, not always the one they tell us that they want. The customer is always right in matters of taste. You need to understand that sometimes they don't know what they want. You might know, just give it to them. They'll appreciate it in the long run. It's probably our last question, right? We only got a couple of minutes. Yep.
All right. What's the time would you say to retire your printer? As like you say, so you have an older printer from the beginning of the industry, and you can continue to upgrade it. You continue to add parts to it and keep it alive. At what point do you say to retire it?
It's a super common question we get, at least in the retail space. If you have to ask the question, it's probably time. And honestly, if the printer is older than 5 or 6 years, it's likely at a point where either it's going to cost more than it's worth to upgrade because you can get more throughput with a newer printer, better quality, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I would say unless you're like into the tinkering and you like playing with the machine, make that a project printer, and do it for fun on your time. But if you're doing it as a business, it is time to retire that, get a new printer. They're all much better experiences in the last 3 or 4 years, I would say.
Time is the one thing that you can't get more of, or I'm too poor to know how to get more of it. So you have to optimize the amount of time that you have every single day. We're not rich enough to stay awake 24 hours a day. There are ways to do it, but it crashes and burns pretty quickly. So you have to make sure that you're optimizing every second that you are awake. And if you're spending that upgrading old machines, it is not worth the time. Often we don't upgrade machines at all. When they have serious issues, like for resin printers, when their screens fail, I buy a new screen and I donate it to the local hackerspace. They'll fix the screen, they get a brand new machine for nothing. Because as a business, it's not worth my time to fix a $400 resin printer. I can get another one for $400 and Uncle Bezos delivers it in 2 days, if not faster. Speed is where you make money. And if you're spending it working on upgrading machines over and over, you have a hobby that might give you a little bit money extra. A business will say, give me another machine. We have over 70 machines in our shop. We are not needing anywhere near that capacity because we know that when push comes to shove, machines know when you have a deadline. They can feel it. And so when we have deadlines, run 5 parts. I don't care. Extras, they go into the bin when we go to shows where we actually set up tables so we can show off pieces that we've done for clients. That's where I think you can set yourself apart and not worry about upgrading machines. If you want to do it for fun, go do it for fun. But, you know, as a business, look at business class machines, like ones from Luke's laboratory. Yeah, got you.
So this was an awesome discussion. I think we're at time, but I think, do you have a booth this year or you're wandering around?
Me?
You, Grant, yeah.
I'm always wandering.
Okay, so I mean, we're at booths. Grant's wandering around. If you guys have other questions, stop by and ask. If you want to quickly, I don't know. My email is just dan@West3D. Shoot me an email. We can have a phone call. We can go back and forth on email. Grant, you gave out your email and you said it's free.
YouTube, yeah. Well, I was talking about the Discord being paid. I want to make sure. Yeah, it's YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. You can use info as well. They all go to the same inbox. Yeah, and I'll be in the back. So I got all my gear's in the back, so I got to go get it anyway. So if you want to chat, we can chat outside afterwards. That's what we're all here for. We want to help you all get from where you are to where you want to be. It's why we take time out of our days where you all could be selling, I could be filming. And we're here because we want to help y'all. Yeah. That's where they find you.
Yeah, likewise, extend the same invitation. We've got a booth over on the other side of the hall. Our website, kb-3d.com. Don't forget the hyphen. Sorry. I'm Kris. We're still small enough where I'll see every email that comes through. So, but yeah, come chat at the show, see what we're doing. I love to chat with makers in general. So that's been the best part of moving to a space where you actually have a showroom is I get to chat 3D printing with more people each day. So you'll never bother me.
I miss my showroom.
Yeah, that's great. We don't have a showroom, but we still get guests weekly. It's kind of weird. They come to a giant shed with just overhead doors. They walk in and say hi. It's the coolest experience every time. So Luke at lukeslabonline.com. If I don't see it, I get like 300 emails a day. If I don't see it, send me an email again. I promise I'll get to it. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.